put it in like this, throw some dirt under there.
You
And even
can,
though this might not be level here, but the top of the tree might be correct alignment. See, like this one here is a little bit leaning, right?
it is normal to plant them in the pot.
No, it's not.
It's not.
So you have to take them out of the pots, and sometimes you gotta like kick them or bash them with a tool, a shovel, whatever, loosen up the dirt. Sometimes they got roots coming out
Yep.
the bottom. Make sure that they're chopped off, otherwise they won't come out of the pot. So the roots will be coming, sticking out of one of the holes, and then they'll be stuck in there. They won't come out because the root will hold them in by sticking out one of the holes in the pots.
Okay.
And you got the see these roots here that are going around
Yep.
in a circle? Those have to be cut
Why?
because they'll girdle the tree and strangle it.
All of them have to be cut.
Yeah, at least go about 4 different sides. Cut them.
Yep. And that should be good.
Here, I'll get you a little saw that you can.
So I'm gonna have to be back tomorrow if I'm gonna have to bring my computer.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna
log it
stop
down.
this now.
How many of each you got, so they're not all in one big jumbled up bunch. Like this, be easier to
Yeah,
visualize
tomorrow.
what you got if they were separated into little groups.
I think tomorrow, when I get some time, I can stop by and then just do that. I would like to do that, and then that would give me a better understanding of,
What you've got.
four scarlet oaks over here. Those 4 or those 2 are going to point A, B. And then
And maybe one has a variety that's different from,
maybe.
maybe
It-
like the hag or like the.
I think it's if it's the same style, if it's the same group, then we know that it takes the same amount of water as, the same.
This is an old pole saw blade. I've been saving my old ones just in case I want to sharpen them up someday. It's still pretty sharp. It's just not quite sharp enough to do tree work when you got large limbs you got to cut. That takes like twice as long, wears you out and everything. So once they start to get a little bit dull, I replace them. But it's still real sharp. What you want to do is take some duct tape and wrap around this, make a handle, and make sure that you don't grab this part. So you can use a lot of duct tape, wrap around a few times so that you can hold on to this without getting your fingers on the teeth, and then use this part of the blade to take once you get this part off, cut the girdling roots and rotate it around and cut some more, and then rotate it around, cut some more.
Yep.
The roots on the inside of that will still be viable, but these girdling roots that go round and round and round like that, you don't want that. So you gotta
That's
cut them.
every tree, correct? Every bottom
Yeah.
tree.
And so you can have this and get some duct tape and wrap it around it.
Yep.
That'll be a lot easier to cut those roots with, and you don't want to use a good saw that you have buy a brand new saw at the hardware store and then it get in all the fucking dirt and everything. That's an old saw. It doesn't matter if it gets all dirty and,
Yep.
and dull by cutting a bunch of roots with it. So you can use that to.
It's kind of sharp.
But it is sharp. That's why you gotta wrap that up around good with duct tape and then hold on to it. Make sure you don't get your fingers on the teeth. Maybe even wear a pair of leather gloves when you use it.
Yeah.
Or you could even make a little handle by wrapping something else around it so that it acts as a handle guard so your hand doesn't slip forward. However you want to fashion it, but that's what you're gonna have to do with those girdling roots is we cut them about 4 times, either that or some people they like to make them in squares. So cut straight down one side, straight down the other side, straight down the other side, and straight down this side like this. And cut the roots that way.
They cut it they cut it this way instead of
Cut it, slice it up into squares like this. Cut the roots off like this. So that's two different ways. You can either cut the roots like this on the sides, or you can cut straight down all the way through.
But wouldn't that take out of the growth?
Those roots are excess roots. The roots on the inside are growing out.
So you can go in a 1/2 inch.
The roots on the outside that are going around and around like that, those are the roots that were growing out from here. They reached the edge of the pot and they couldn't go anywhere, so either turn left or right, and then you started spiraling around. There's plenty of roots on the inside from here to the trunk of the tree that the tree will still live. And so you can cut these roots that are going around and around in a circle, and they'll still have plenty of roots left on the inside of the tree. You know, so if you leave them on there, then the tree will, as it grows, the roots will just strangle the tree, and then the tree will die because the roots have, cut off the water and nutrients can't get up into the tree if the roots are strangling the trunk of the tree and everything, and so that's why the roots need to be cut like that.
So once you can you say the best way to plant it?
Well, they should have a flare root, and sometimes you gotta dig down. Sometimes they plant these things with take off a couple of inches of the soil on the top, so you get, this one seems to be pretty deep.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for a root that goes outward from the trunk. I'm finding this is
I see one on this side, Brian.
it would take off a couple of inches of this off the top.
So then we would need soil.
So the top of the the soil level would be a little bit lower, like a couple inches lower than here. So you'd just take off a couple layers of the stuff on top, and get the see, the roots can't be too deep. You gotta find out how deep the layer of the roots are, and then they should be just below the surface. So if you got this fill in here is just too deep, and then you plant this at the ground level, then the roots will be too deep in the ground. They won't get enough moisture and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you take off a couple inches of this stuff on top until you get the layer of roots exposed, and then that's the depth you want to plant it.
Where the as you're putting it in the ground.
Yeah.
Is this soil too dry, you think?
No, it doesn't seem to be dry. Had a lot of rain and she's been watering a bit.
Yeah.
They said to water every 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Might have some silver maple. All these seed pods are piling up. Might have some silver maple ones coming up.
Well, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research tonight.
I said it would be best if you would help the homeowner or whoever gets the trees, when you deliver them, stick around for a half hour and help them plant it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Some people, you gotta make sure they got a shovel to dig the hole and
Yep.
make sure it's at the right depth, and cut them girdling roots off. Take the pot and take the bamboo off, and you could leave these on there. They help protect the tree from rabbits and sun scald in the winter. But I would take the bamboo off and take the pots away. And I'm not sure where you recycle the pots, the garden store or whatever, but they come in handy for carrying dirt or carrying mulch or.
Oh yeah, and they cost a lot of money if you get it from a supplier. Oh my goodness.
Perfect.
But do you see on this lilac tree? See how you got it banded like that? Do you think that a homeowner is going to need to do that at all?
Not with these. Like I said, they're in the containers,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're not going to be flopping around. As long as
So they've already created like a hardening.
they're not going to fall over. See, they're
Okay.
in the soil, and so they're not going to fall over as long as this is placed in the hole and the soil is packed around it, so it doesn't move. Once it's straight and this is in the ground, it's not going to fall over. That's one of the benefits of having a containerized trees as opposed to a bare root tree, or even a ball and burlap tree. Sometimes the ball and burlap trees can be packed in clay and they just got a burlap bag around them with the wire, and once you take that wire off there, the burlap bag flops around, and the clay and the soil just splits open, and the tree just starts flopping around. But these container trees, the roots are pretty densely in there, so that they're not going to flop around.
So follow-up care, maybe we can, because we have to monitor and track, so
Well, then
to make sure
everybody
that they
you give
don't
a tree
die.
to, you have to write down what species of tree, and you might want to write down where it was planted,
Oh, yeah.
or maybe even take a picture of it if
Yep.
you want to document it, so that you can come back 5 years later and say, well, we gave this person a tree, I wonder where they planted it.
Well, we got to know where they planted it, Ben,
but after a
and maybe
few
that's
years, you'll
strategic
forget.
too.
What?
What area of their yard, and I know the fruit trees aren't allowed on the boulevard.
Do you think you can come up with 32 people to take one of those?
Oh yes,
Okay.
yes, definitely.
Do you think a person's going to have more than one tree?
It's possible.
It's possible.
First come, first serve. I don't know if somebody wants, I'll take 12 of them. You say, well, you can't do that unless you have trouble giving them away. But you have to have okay that they have a spot for each tree. They must have a big yard if they want more than a couple of trees, and maybe they want to set one on each side of the yard. That will be okay. But you just talk to each person, find out what they're going to do, where they're going to plant them, because it matters if it's under a power line, or you don't want it too close to a house.
There you go.
You don't want it underneath another tree, because they'll grow away from. It's got to be an open space.
Open
When they get
space, yeah.
straight up into the sunlight and everything. They got to be planted in the right spot. You might want to figure out where the south side of the house is.
Yep.
So you plant it on the southwest corner, so you get the sunshine. That's going to give your house the shade in the summertime, rather than if it was on the north side of the house, it wouldn't give you any shade. So that's something to consider in planting a tree. Where do you want the shade? On your house, the front yard, the side yard, the backyard. But you don't want to plant it on the north side. You want shade from it.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you just want to, the service berry probably just grows smaller, and the birds like the berries. So if you just want to feed the birds, you don't want the shade, then because different trees are different heights too. You could have
Oh, that's
berries
good.
might only get 30 feet tall. Hackberries might get 60 feet tall.
Okay.
So find out those kind of things about how big are they gonna get. That might make a difference in how close to the house you want to plant it, or whether or not there's wires nearby, or you don't want to plant it right next to a fence. It's got to be out in the open a little bit.
On your property line.
Yeah, you don't want to plant that on somebody else's property. Especially like if it's a spreading tree and you plant it right next to the property line, and all of a sudden the branches are growing over into the neighbor's yard. They might object to that. So you got to have a little consideration for the place that's going to be planted. So you should go with them and find the right spot to plant it. And you might, like I said, you might want to help them dig the hole, make sure the tree is actually planted before you leave.
And springtime is the best this time.
Make sure they got a hose to water it. We've been using those green bags. They call them gator bags. I'm not sure how much they cost. And
Oh yeah, the city.
those you put them on there. They hold 20 gallons of water. They got little holes in the bottom so it doesn't run off into the gutter. And 20 gallons. That's like 4 or 5 gallon buckets. They blow up like a big balloon. They actually hold a lot of water, and it slowly seeps out over a day. Once a week you fill the bag up with the hose, put the hose away. You don't have to leave it on trickle and forget about it. You just fill the bag up, put the hose away. So it's a lot handier to use those things, but they also cost money, and I'm not sure if the homeowners would want to buy those from you when you supply them, or if you want to tell the homeowners where to get them, or how you want to do that. But new trees that are planted probably need to be watered once a week, get the roots established. You don't want to just water them once and expect them to just take off.
So within the week or two of getting these planted, we're gonna want to
you want them to be watered right away.
keep up on them, I guess.
Right away they should be watered, and then after that, once a week. Especially once it gets into July and August, it might be like a drought. It might not rain for a month. Meanwhile, that tree's going to be sit there drying out. So, gotta make sure that the homeowner knows that's a brand new trees. Roots gotta be kept moist so they can keep growing into the soil for the first year. And it's preferable to water them once a week, whether it rains or not, because even when it does rain, it might only rain an inch, and the water might not seep down into the soil enough to get the roots a good soaking, because a lot of it might run off, and it might just go down a couple inches and then just stop and dry up. So you gotta give them a good watering, not just depend on the rain.
So how many gallons you think for trees?
The bags
Maybe-
hold 20 gallons.
Yeah, but initially, you just want to maybe give them 5 gallons. Initially, just make sure that the soil, when you plant them, there'll be little air pockets in there, and you want to just make sure that they're stable.
So when you plant it, you want to do 5 gallons at least. You're saying?
Mm-hmm.
So is that the first 2 weeks you want 10 gallons for that tree?
Well, initially, like I said, when you plant them, if you could put one of them bags on there.
Well, say we don't have the bag. Say it's just.
Well, you want to at least get them so that the water soaks down into initially the roots are only going to be in this area, and so you don't have to soak everything, but you want to make sure that these roots stay moist and everything so they don't dry out, and then the roots will start growing outward into the soil that you dig and put back in the hole again. There'll be loose soil and everything. So you don't have to water way out here when it's only been recently planted, because the roots are only in that area anyway.
So then would you say more of 5 gallons in a week?
Initially 5 gallons, and then like I said, after that you could put those bags on there, or you could you want to see when you use the if you don't use the bags.
Grass is different than trees though, right?
Well, grasses take up a lot of water also, so they'll detract from the water that's available to the tree, because as the grass grows, they'll also drink the water.
Because I thought a lawn only typically needs a half inch of water a
That's
week.
because the grass is right on the surface,
Sure.
but the roots are deeper, so that the water has to seep down through a couple inches of the soil to make sure it gets into the roots deeper underground.
Okay.
What you don't want to do is just put it in the ground and then not water it,
Yeah.
because the process of planting it and then adding the soil back in there, the trees could be drying out, and the soil that you put back in the hole could be dry. So when you plant it, you want to water it right away, and then as you do that, the air pockets in the soil you put in there will settle the soil a little bit, and then you can add more soil or move the soil around. Like if you don't have the bag, a lot of people, they put a berm around it, a berm of soil or sod to hold the water in a pool above the tree, But
Seems like more work.
well, it's if you don't do that, then a lot of the water will just run off.
Right.
So if you water the tree and then the water just runs off, it's not getting enough water, because all the water's over here, the tree's over there. So you want to pour a little water, let it soak in, pour a little more water, let it soak in, so it might take a little while for the water to slowly seep into the ground and everything. If you have a berm around it, made up of soil around it, and maybe take the sod that you dug out and flip it over upside down, so the green side of the sod is downward and the dirt side is up, and then you make a ring with that. That will keep that water
Like a well.
in, yeah, like a little tub or something. That'll keep the water from running out. So then you can add water, and if it breaks through and it starts running out in a little river because it broke through the side of your berm, and you got to repair the side of the berm to keep the water in there again. But the thing about those berms is, as the roots grow, the girdling roots that are in these pots there, those they'll do the same thing to the berm, because the berm that you make around there is, it's a couple inches higher than the ground level, and it's all loose soil, and it's right up near the surface where a lot of the roots grow, and so the roots can find that berm, and they can go around a tree like this, and the roots will go out, and then they'll start turning, and they'll go around the tree following that berm around, because that's where the best soil is, and it's all loose soil, and it's the perfect depth for the roots to move into. And so what we do is, after the tree gets its initial watering by our water guys, when we plant the tree, I'll come by later with my truck, and I've got a rake, one of them hard kind rakes, and I'll take the berm, and I'll bring the berm in towards the trunk of the tree, and all the soil from the berm I'll put in towards the center, and then I'll smooth it out and make it flat, so that you make sure that the the roots in the center of the tree are covered, because a lot of times when you water the tree, the soil will settle, and then the roots will be exposed right up in the center of the tree there. And so you, after the initial watering, I'll put in the soil towards the center of the tree, make sure the roots are covered and the ground is level, and then I'll put the bag on there. And then from then on, you don't need the berm, because the bag will slowly seep the water down and won't run off. And so rather than leave the berm on there, I level the berm out, then I put mulch on there, and I put about 4 scoop shovels worth of mulch on there, and I'll level that out so it's looking more like a disc. And you don't want the mulch up against the tree, so you take my rake and I pull the mulch away from the center of the tree to keep the tree dry around the trunk there. Then I put the bag on there so that the bag will replace the berm to hold the water in.
It's kind of a lot of work. Is that?
Well, after it establishes itself, doesn't it kind of take care of it? Its root system will be
Well, right.
established,
Once it's in, you mean?
right?
Yeah, but that might take, a year. It's got to, it should have
A
good
year.
growing season. After the fall, in the fall we take and we collect all the bags, because we reuse them for the next year.
How do you
That's
attach them though?
On the same tree, basically.
Well, we leave the bags on there, and either the homeowner keeps filling the bags and takes care of their tree, but if they don't, then we have a water truck that goes around and it fills the bags up that haven't been filled, and it'll keep them, at least 3-4 times a year. So hopefully they'll get to them. A lot of times, if nobody takes care of them and the water truck doesn't get to them in time, some trees do die. So it's
Yeah,
important.
that's important. Yeah,
Watered.
seems
And,
like.
an easy way for homeowners to do it is to put the bags on. Otherwise, people forget about it. So you gotta stress to them that this is a new tree. The roots have to grow. Has to be watered. Don't forget. So
People like to go out and water.
Yeah.
I noticed.
well, a lot of other people
I think
don't.
if it's a new tree, it should be.
Yeah, if they wanted a tree in their yard, if the homeowner planted it in their yard rather than on the boulevard where they didn't even ask for one, the city just put it there. A lot of people say that tree's just gonna die because we ain't gonna water it. So you got those types too. That they just don't care about trees and don't want to bother with watering it. But somebody who wants a tree from you guys is probably pretty assured that they're going to actually take care of it.
Yeah.
So gotta make sure that you ask the right questions to the people that get the trees. And now, are you really going to take care of it, or it's just going to be a lawn ornament for the next year, and then you take it out and toss it in the garbage because it died?
Oh dear. Oh no. Because these are expensive, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find people, I can help them
Okay.
within like the next week.
Okay.